people are very careless with their language. And if you look at someone who is a victim, a lot of their victimhood comes down to the words they use. I mean, the words you use either lift up your energy, the words you use either make you more creative, the words you use either allow you to do world-class things, or the words you use deny your talents. The words you use could reduce your energy. The words you use could hurt your leadership. You can either be a victim or you can be a leader, but you can't be both. Think about the great dictators. Their words of hatred, their words of toxicity, their words of breakdown caused the people around them to do sometimes incredibly terrifying acts. And then you look at people like a Nelson Mandela or a Martin Luther King Jr. or a Mother Teresa. You look at the great business builders, you look at humanitarians, you look at a lot of the great artists, and they were so careful with their words. And their words lifted people up. And that's really what great leaders do. They use the language of leadership. If you watch a victim speaking, you'll hear things like, I can't, I'm sick of, I'm tired of, I don't like this. And then if you hear a leader speak, I call it leadership vocabulary, it's much more the language of possibility, much more the language of inspiration, much more the language of energy, much more the language of what can be made to happen. It makes me think of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had something called the reality distortion field, which is a term used by Bud Tribble, who was working at Apple at the same time. And he said, even if you didn't believe in Steve's vision, what he was going to bring into the world, when you were with him, you almost got hypnotized by his language, by his belief in himself, by his energy. And you got pulled into this reality distortion field so that you actually went, yeah, Steve, this can be done. And so, do you have your own reality distortion field so that when people are around you, through your language, you uplift them? Because bottom line, words can uplift or words can destroy. And if you look at a Nelson Mandela or you look at a Martin Luther King Jr. in his I Have a Dream speech, he used the language that lifted up an entire nation, that showed people what was possible, that painted a gorgeous picture of the future. And then you've got some so-called leaders, and rather than the language of leadership, they used the language of hate. And the words they used didn't lift people up, but they destroyed entire nations. I'm an absolute fanatic about the words I use, because I understand the words I use so influence the people around me. I so understand the words I use affect my energy. Call a problem and it becomes a problem. Call a problem an opportunity and it totally reframes your psychology and your emotional architecture about how you reply to it. You look at a victim and they say things like, this is a problem. I've got a problem right here. Or I'm really scared about this. Or I hate that client. Or I hate this work. Or I'm sick of this day. Or I'm exhausted. Or I don't like that. Or she never likes me. It's literally the language of toxicity. And the words you use really are like a context or a framework or a stained glass window on the way you see the world. I mean, here's a game-changing insight. You see the world not as it is, you see the world as you are. You see the world through a lens, and your language forms that lens of belief. Use the language of possibility. A problem's not a problem is an opportunity. It's not the language of can't, it's the language of I can. It's not the language of I hate doing this, it's the language of what's the opportunity here. Get your words right and you change entire worlds.